A dark amber dusk settled over Tehran, casting elongated shadows across the ancient alleys and the modern skylines scarred by sanctions and survival. The city hummed with quiet anxiety. News had broken hours earlier of Russia's cryptic declaration that Iran was close to acquiring a nuclear bomb. The international media storm was immediate, but the streets of Iran were silent, as if holding breath. At a small community clinic on the southern fringe of the city, Dr. Parisa Elahi closed her office door quietly, removing her white coat with hands that trembled from exhaustion. Her day, like most, had been spent tending to the poor victims of a crippled healthcare system and a worsening political storm that was now reaching fever pitch. She had no love for power blocks or ideologies. Her life was a long testament to something more potent: compassion. Her father, a professor who vanished during protests years ago, had always told her, in a world of enemies, humanity is the only ally worth keeping. It was this mantra that kept her from giving in to despair now, as whispers of war swirled through the corridors of power. At the same hour in Pyongyang, in the private confines of a palace chamber rarely visited even by top officials, Jong Un stared silently at a screen streaming global reactions. His face was impassive, but inside, a storm brewed. The Russian statement had been more than a political gambit, it was a provocation. It framed Iran as a partner in nuclear ambition. For Kim, it was a mirror and a question. He remembered the face of the young Iranian delegate he had met just months ago during a rare diplomatic medical exchange, Reza Safavi, a soft-spoken humanitarian who'd pleaded for more medicine than missiles. If war erupts, Reza had said, there will be no victors, only mothers without sons, and children without homes. Something about the man's sincerity had stuck with Kim, lingering like the aftertaste of truth. And yet, pressure was mounting. Intelligence reports suggested that the U.S. was reinforcing its regional bases. Iran's Revolutionary Guard had moved units toward the border. Russia's ambiguous messaging had opened a dangerous door. Now everyone was watching North Korea. Would Kim walk through it? Across the ocean, in Washington, D.C., President Elena Morris read the early reports at 3:42 a.m. in the Situation Room. Her face was pale under the fluorescent lights. As the first female president of the United States, she had climbed to power on promises of restoring unity and peace, of breaking cycles of interventionist warfare. Now, she was on the brink of witnessing the collapse of it all. She turned to her chief advisor, Marcus LeBlanc, a stoic former Marine with eyes that had seen too much. "We need back channels," she said. "Quiet ones. No saber rattling. No more damn threats." "Yes, Madam President," Marcus replied, and without being asked, added, "I'll call Mia." Mia Chen was not a diplomat in any official sense. She was a linguist, a pacifist, and a world traveler who'd once taught English in both Tehran and Pyongyang. She was also the godmother of Marcus's son. Trusted. Invisible. Essential. When Mia received the call, she was volunteering in Turkey, helping Syrian refugees rebuild homes from war rubble. She hadn't heard the latest news, but when she did, she didn't hesitate. "I'll go," she said. Within 48 hours, she was on a plane to Iran, carrying nothing but a satchel of translation guides, medical supplies, and handwritten letters, one from President Morris, and one from the mother of a fallen American soldier, urging peace. In Tehran, Mia was met not by officials, but by Reza Safavi, the same humanitarian who had met Kim months earlier. His hair had gone grayer, but his eyes still held a gentle fire. He welcomed Mia like family. "We need to talk," she said, after tea and formalities. "And we need to speak to Kim." Reza nodded. Getting to Pyongyang was harder. With escalating threats, borders were tightening. But fate had a strange way of aligning when hope needed it most. Through old contacts and secret diplomacy, Reza secured them passage aboard a medical aid flight under UN escort. In Pyongyang, Jong Un sat across from Mia in a bare room that betrayed no signs of royalty. He studied her carefully. "You believe a letter will change the winds?" he asked. "No," Mia replied. "But you believe in stories, don't you?" He didn't answer. She reached into her bag and pulled out the letter from the American mother. Kim opened it slowly. The script was shaky, but the words were clear. "My son died in a war he didn't understand. Don't let another mother like me exist in your country or mine. Silence followed. Long and unbroken. Then Kim stood and walked to a window overlooking the palace garden. Snow had begun to fall. He turned. If I say no to war, they will call me weak. Mia didn't flinch. But if you say yes, you will become one more monster they expected you to be. Reza added quietly, but if you choose kindness, for once, you change the story. That night, Kim sent a message, not to the press, not to the generals, but to the people of North Korea and beyond. It was a simple broadcast in soft Korean, later translated worldwide. I have known power, he said. But today I want to understand peace. We will not participate in war. Instead, we will send doctors. And letters. The world gasped. Some called it a ploy. Some called it surrender. But something changed. Iran, days later, announced that it would allow UN inspectors full access to its nuclear sites. President Morris responded not with sanctions, but with medicine. Mia, Reza, and even Kim began to exchange messages human, not diplomatic. Months passed. No bombs fell. Aid increased. Families reunited. And slowly, headlines gave way to stories. Not of aggression, but of a boy in Pyongyang learning English from an Iranian book. Of a child in Houston, Texas, receiving a letter from a girl in Tehran. Of a North Korean nurse helping at a refugee camp in Syria. The war didn't happen. Instead, something rarer did. Humanity, for once, won.